Hilary Duff had decided to become an author. Because of her career pivot, she was having book signings. I had already been to the one for her previous book. Yes, she wrote 3.
Growing up, Hilary Duff was basically like the big sister that I never had. I used to love Lizzie McGuire so much. I think that along with That's So Raven, are like the 2 best Disney Channel shows that they've ever made. And I swear, I used to listen to her song Wake Up on repeat every single day. I had her CD and I used to just listen to that one song like over and over again. So when I found out that she wrote a YA series, I knew I had to jump on that and buy the first book as soon as possible. And that is what I'm going to be talking to you about today. I also want to say that although I did expect to make content from this, I did to go into it with like a fair point of view. I never went into it like expecting or like wanting to trash it. I just went into it like no expectations, like let's just see what it is. And honestly, I feel like I did actually really enjoy it. It was kind of cringe, it was kind of crazy, a lot of typical YA tropes, but I thought it was a really fun book. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, all the usual stuff, and let's just start talking about Elixir by Hilary Duff. The book starts with Clea and her best friend Raina out in a club in Paris. They've been on a trip around Europe and this is their final destination just before they go home back to America. So it's important to note at this point that Clea is a photographer. This comes into play quite a lot later, but it's mentioned pretty much right at the start that she doesn't want to be in the club, she wants to be out taking pictures. She also starts to get really depressed. This is literally on page 2, okay, and we find out that her dad is dead, and Raina, her best friend, just magically knows that her dad is dead, so they get to talk about it. And straight away on page 2, you're like, okay, I can see where this is going.
That stinks. Talk about depressing.
While they're at the club, they're talking to 2 guys. One of them is French and has a penthouse flat with a view of the Eiffel Tower, and the other one is British and has ties to the throne. So straight away we know that this is going to be a very, very like perfect life fantasy type of book. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, it's quite fun. Clea and her best friend Raina were born 5 minutes apart. They're basically twins, they've been best friends since birth. It's that type of relationship. And we find out that Clea is the daughter who is like super famous somehow of a senator, her mom, and a world-renowned surgeon who was her dad, but he's now dead. And at this point we also get some shade to like TMZ and People magazine, which I was like, okay Hilary, like go in, go off. But yeah, so this is all happening, they're at the club, this is all like kind of exposition because Clea's telling the English guy about this. And then there's a lot of French in this section as well, which I could read. Humble brag. But if you didn't know French, then I think you'd be a lot lost in this first chapter. But anyway, that's not even important. Clea's other best friend is Ben, who is 20, a doctorate, like he has a doctorate, and he speaks 10 languages, and he's super smart and knows everything, and he's hot. Obviously, she totally doesn't have a crush on him. They're completely 100% platonic friends, and this is not going to come up later on in any way, shape or form.
And he has blue eyes you could just drown in.
Once they get back to America, Clea starts to look through all of her pictures from her trip, and she starts to notice that the same man is appearing in the background of every single picture. Sometimes he's just standing like behind Raina, or there's one where he's like floating in the sky like a ghost, which is never explained, by the way. Obviously we'll find out later on what he actually is, but it's never explained why he's floating in this picture. Like, it does not make sense. But anyway, okay, she starts to like kind of freak out. She's like, is this a stalker or is he a ghost, considering he's flying about? So she starts taking pictures around her room, and then she puts them into her laptop or computer and starts looking at them, and then she looks at one of her closet door, and who's in the door? The mystery man. I have to admit, at this point, this was like right at the end of a chapter, and at this point I was like, okay, I'm invested, like that got me.
Oh my gosh.
We start to find out some more background on Clea and her family, and we found out that her dad went missing in Brazil a year ago when he was out on like some kind of mission. I don't know, he goes on missions quite a lot. Her mom as well is also like very, very not present. She's hardly in the book. She pops in for like one scene, and other than that she's like not there. But okay, whatever. So her dad went missing a year ago, and you would think that this would be the focus of the book, but it really kind of isn't. Like, it sets up that this is the focus of the book, but it slowly kind of forgets about her dad, which is kind of weird. But yeah, so Clea then starts to dream about the man from her pictures every single night, and she slowly falls in love with him through her dreams. She thinks that he's like the perfect man for her, and they're soulmates, and like she can't stop thinking about him. Eventually she tells Ben and Reyna all about their dreams and the man in the dreams and about the pictures, and shows them the pictures. At this point, Ben tells her that he has been told by her father, because of reasons, I don't even want to get into it, that her father showed him, Ben, that the same man has been appearing in pictures throughout Clea's entire life. The very first picture of her in hospital when she was born, the man is in the background of that picture. Her dad thinks that he is either a guardian angel or an incubus, and Ben just kind of knows all this and has been keeping it a secret because her dad didn't want her to know until she was ready. It's very... we just ignore it. So she then starts to have nightmares about dying in front of this man. Every single nightmare she has, she's about to have like a happy moment, and then she dies, and the man is always in the dreams as well. So this obviously starts to scare her, and the dreams, honestly, or nightmares actually do get really dark. Like a few of them I was like, oh, okay.
No more! No more!
Her and Ben go to Carnival because, like I said earlier, she is a photographer, so she was going to Carnival in Rio to take pictures for a magazine, and while she was there they go and visit the institute where her dad was visiting before he disappeared. This section, or this scene, is kind of pointless because we don't really learn anything, but whatever. So they go to Carnival, they take loads of pictures, and they get caught up in the festivities, and her and Ben are on the beach and they're about to kiss.
What was the last thing I ate? Please let it be a breath mint.
Suddenly she sees the mystery man, so she chases him across the beach. She falls and twists her ankle, and then he decides that even though he was running away from her, he's now going to come back and help her because she's lying on the ground with a like twisted, broken ankle, unable to stand up.
And in the category of most embarrassing moment of my life, we have a winner.
Ben catches up to them, and he notices that the man is wearing her dad, who obviously is missing, is wearing her dad's watch. So Clea is like, okay, you need to explain everything now. The man says his name is Sage, which, can I just say, is the most YA like name ever. I don't think anyone in real life is called Sage. If you are, please comment down below and tell me, because I don't believe that's a real name. But yeah, so the three of them are like talking, and suddenly they're attacked by a group of men out of like nowhere, and Sage like fights them off, and then they escape. They crawl into an underground cave under the beach in Rio, and Sage explains that the men are chasing after the elixir of life, and that there's like two different separate groups, like evil groups. It's implied that these are the people that have kidnapped her or abducted her dad, because he was also after the elixir of life, but he wants it to like help patients and like do good in the world, whereas these groups want it for themselves. Her dad came to Sage before he disappeared to explain that him and Sage had to go visit someone called the Dark Lady, so that the three of them could like put all their knowledge on the elixirs of life together. I think it's very, very confusing, this section, in my opinion, but that's like the gist of it. The four of them then go to Sage's house. They leave this underground cave, which just happened to be there. I don't know if Sage like knew it was there, but so they go to Sage's house, which is a giant tree house, which is hidden in the forest because of course he has to have like a fancy, huge house. And while they're there, Clea does some snooping. She pretends she's going to the bathroom, and she goes into his bedroom, and she finds paintings of 4 different women all dying in the same deaths that she has died in her nightmares. Clea works out somehow that these are all of her in her past lives. She just comes to that conclusion, which happens to be the right one. Like, that's somehow the conclusion she comes to. And she assumes that Sage has been killing her over and over in every single life. She doesn't actually seem to be that scared of this though, for some reason. And like, she doesn't really confront him or anything, and she's just like, oh, he's gonna kill me. Okay. Then they go back to her house in the US, like take him with her, even though she thinks he's a serial killer, but okay, whatever. And around this time we get some more information on the two separate groups which are hunting for the elixir of life. But honestly, they might as well just be Team Magma and Team Aqua from Pokemon, because they're very, very surface level. They're basically both after the same thing but for different reasons. And yeah, so after some like lucky plot convenience password hacking into her dad's office, into like his computers and stuff, they find out that the Dark Lady is in Tokyo. Ben is like, are we going to go to Tokyo? And Clea is like, duh.
Once in a lifetime chance? Check. My life is now complete.
Reina drives the three of them, like there's four of them now, to New York so that they can get a flight to Tokyo. And at this point I was thinking in my head, I was like, Hilary definitely just put all these locations into this book on the off chance it would be a movie, because she would like, what would be cool? Oh, we'll go to Paris, we'll go to New York, we'll go to Tokyo, we'll go to Rio. Like, she was just wanting everything, and you know, honestly, good for her. You can't blame her. Then we get to the big conflict of the book.
Conflict? I think conflict is when my nail polish doesn't match my outfit.
Clea realises that she is now in love with both Ben and Sage. Love triangle, woo! And this is despite the fact that literally 15-20 pages ago, she was convinced that Sage was a serial killer who was going to kill her and has killed her 4 previous times. For some reason, she just doesn't care. He's done nothing to prove otherwise, but she's just like, okay, well, I guess I still love him.
But a little danger will never hurt a girl. Ow!
Sage and Clea then go on a drive to get snacks for the group and to get some alone time, and he explains to her that he finds her in every single life because of her soul. Their souls are like connected. Every time she's reincarnated, he can like find her. So at this point I was 100% convinced that he was a vampire, because as we know, he was in the pictures from when the day she was born, and he still looks the same now. So I was like, okay, he's definitely a vampire. And while they're out on this drive, they start to kiss, and things get steamy so fast. Like, I swear to God, things go from first kiss to 100 in the space of a page.
Splendid work! Now I'll grow up, marry him, and we'll split the Nobel Prize in rhyming things.
After this, she decides that Sage is her soulmate and they're going to be together forever. And when she goes back to her hotel room, she's lying in bed and she's thinking about how she can't bear to be away from him, and it's physically painful for her to be away from him. And this whole part, to be honest, was very cringe, I'm not going to lie. This was like my least favourite part of the entire book, just because it was like, you've known him for less than 30 hours. Like, she's convinced that she loves him just because of all these dreams that she's had, which aren't even like real memories.
He likes me! Ewan likes me! My love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June.
Of course, the next day, he is ignoring her. He won't talk to her at breakfast. He doesn't want to talk to her in the car. They get to the airport. He doesn't want to talk to her there. Starts to wonder if she should choose Ben instead.
This really, really hurts.
This is just like a small nitpick, okay? But when they were going to Rio, there was a whole scene, the only scene her mother really is in, because they talk about how she needs her mum's permission to go to Rio and to fly, because she's only 17 and she can't fly without her parents' permission. So that's like a whole scene, which I would assume is setting up something. But then when they go to Japan, she doesn't even tell her mom that she's like left the country. Like, her mom's just like forgotten about, pretty much. And I know it's just a small nitpick, but I was like, what was the entire point of that scene earlier on? But anyway, I thought it was going to be more conflict from that, but whatever. So once they're in Japan, she mentions that the Japanese people are like taking pictures of her and all this stuff. And then suddenly, just by coincidence, on the billboards in front of them in Tokyo, a gossip show starts playing, and they are showing paparazzi pictures of her and Ben almost kissing on the beach in Rio. And I'm sorry, there's no way a senator's daughter is this famous that they're playing videos of her in Japan on billboards, and people in Japan know like who she is. Like, it just makes no sense. Like, a lot of this bit doesn't make sense, but for some reason this part just really bothered me, because I was like, there's no way. Like, I actually kind of follow US politics, and I can't even name any senators that aren't ones that have run for president. Like, there's no way a senator's daughter is this famous. But whatever, maybe another little small nitpick, but this whole bit I was like, this is so stupid. They go searching in the mall for the Dark Lady because they've tracked down that she's in this mall, and they find a secret passageway that takes them to her. Her name is Magda, and she knows about the elixir of life, which is why they're there. At first, Clea thinks that she is a dead corpse, but it turns out that she's just 500 years old and she has the gift of eternal life, but not the gift of eternal youth because of a magic enchanted necklace.
That doesn't make me feel any better.
We get more backstory on Sage, and the gist of it is that he took his girlfriend, who was one of Clea's past lives, to a meeting at a society where they protect the elixirs of life. Thieves burst into the meeting and kill everyone and take the elixirs, and they test them on Sage. He's the only one that survives like the mass killing, I don't know what you call it, and they use it on him, find out that he is now immortal, yeah, and they then spend years torturing him and like testing the limits of his immortal eternal life. One night he escapes, manages to kill most of them, and he then spends the rest of his life looking for Clea, and like every single time her soul is reincarnated. Every single time though she dies because of something that happens with Ben. So it turns out they're trapped in an eternal love triangle with Clea, Ben and Sage, and in every single life, Ben's other life as well, this is very hard to explain, Ben's soul always gets jealous and causes Clea's death, because in every single life Ben and Clea are meant to be together, and then Sage comes back and like ruins the relationship. We find out that Clea's dad found out all of this from Magda previously, and that is why he went to Sage and said they need to go to Magda, because he wants Sage to kill himself in order to save Clea. So Magda teaches Sage how he can die, because obviously he's like eternal, so it's like has to be like in a specific way, and he is happy to do this. And Magda kills herself by ripping off her enchanted necklace and like turning it to dust. And when that happened, I was like, this is so melodramatic. I was like, way to kind of steal the scene. Like props for her. Like she made a dramatic exit, but I was like, you did not live 500 years just to kill yourself right now because of this. Like that's, I don't know. Anyway, it was funny. The men from the two gangs find out where they are because of like the people taking pictures of them and stuff, because she's so famous, and then they escape them all and hotwire a car. There's a huge car chase, there's explosions, like there's car crashes, all the usual stuff, and Sage says that they need to go to a beach so that he can kill himself, which has to happen exactly at midnight, and he has to light a fire and all this other stuff. Clea obviously does not want this to happen.
If I'm train A and Angel's train B, we're about to have a major collision.
Stupid Clea then goes online and tells the gangs chasing them where they are exactly going so that they can come and stop Sage from killing himself. This makes literally no sense though, because Magda has literally just said before that if either of the two gangs get Sage, they are going to make him suffer a fate worse than death. So the fact that Clea is telling them where they are, it just doesn't add up. I don't know what her plan is. I don't know if she's expecting them to come so then Sage can't kill himself at that exact moment and then they have to go on the run again, and I don't know if she wants to spend her entire life like on the run with Sage, but that is not, like, it was just such a stupid plan. Surprise surprise, they all come, they start shooting, Clea gets shot in the leg and Ben is captured. Sage then goes out with his hands up and like surrenders so that they'll release Ben, and they take Sage and put him in a van and drive away with him. Clea then blames Ben for this. Clea is like, this is all your fault if you just stayed behind, even though she was the one that told the gangs where they were going. Like, it doesn't add up. Like 1 + 1 = 5 in this girl's head. And also she starts thinking about like the prophecies, or not the prophecies, like the previous lives where Ben caused her death, and is like thinking, oh, he's done it again. But in the previous ones, Ben caused her death, and in this one he basically just saved her because it was Sage that got captured. So she really annoyed me. Like, I was on board with her for the full book, but this like final scene, I was like, you are so dumb. I was like, this is dumb. This is the most dummy dumb thing I've ever read, ever. Like, it really actually annoyed me so much.
Hello? When are you guys gonna grow up? Grow up! Grow up, grow up, grow up!
Then once she gets her leg wound cleaned up in hospital, then go on a plane and go home. And on the plane, she won't talk to Ben, and she's like still blaming him for Sage getting captured, and this is where it ends.
Phew! Glad that's over with. In the immortal words of Kermit the Frog, it was not easy being green.
There's no conclusion about where her dad is. Sage's fate is left up in the air. She is in the airplane bathroom and is like, this is all Ben's fault. Like, do you have no self-reflection skills? Like, it was really, really annoying to read. Like, Ben literally just saved her life, kind of. I don't know, it was just dumb. It was a really annoying ending. So obviously this is a trilogy, and I am tempted to get the next 2 books because of how it ends. Like, there's no conclusion on her dad, like I said, and no conclusion on Sage, because obviously it's 3 parts. And I am tempted to get the next one, but at the same time, that ending annoyed me so much that I'm like, I'm almost just done with Clea. I'm like, you have just annoyed me so much I don't even want to know what happens next. But we'll see. Maybe if I can find them really cheap, I'll buy them. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was an entertaining read. I really did enjoy it, to be fair. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, which, did it deserve 4 stars? No, it didn't. But purely based on enjoyment, it was fun to read. It was fun to like put all this together. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, let me know down below your thoughts on this book, because it was a roller coaster. A roller coaster that had a dead end at the end, but a roller coaster nonetheless. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.